co-star today, Words the sheep. She was a bottle lamb that we had this past spring. I have a lot of videos where I talk about raising her because she tried to die in every way possible, and so far is doing really well, and she's very sweet, and we're not going to eat her, don't worry. Hi, welcome to Dandelion Dreams podcast. My name is Julia Mason. I live in Oregon, and we raise sheep and goats, which you can kind of see in the background there. And this is a knitting podcast. I also like to talk about farming and what my husband and I are doing with a property that we bought. So I guess be prepared for that at the end. But I will start with knitting. Hush! One of our lambs is walking around here. She's the bottle lamb from this year, and she gets one of our border collies all excited. So anyways, yeah, so I will talk about knitting first this time because I said I would. So I will start with finished objects today. I think the only finished object that I can remember, because it's been a really long time since I've podcasted, is this. This is my Estonian shawlette. And I think the pattern was by Suzanne Fritz or something to that effect. And yeah, it was a really, really enjoyable pattern to knit. The yarn was by Terry Dow with the Ungrateful Wench Yarn Company. And it was really, really fun. I really enjoyed the process of knitting this. Oh, there's some of our lambs. These are the lambs that we use to practice training our dogs. So anyways, that's why they're in this dry lot here. Yeah, so the last time I podcasted, I think I only needed to do a couple more rounds and maybe just the bind off. And the only thing that I did differently from what the pattern said to do was on this bind off edge, there's like points for the lace. And at the points, I did an extra stitch so that when I blocked it, which I haven't actually gotten to correctly block this object yet. So anyways, so that I would have a little bit more slack to make the points pointier, which I think worked out really well. But I did sort of block it. I pinned it all out, and Felicity found it. It was like in an upstairs bedroom, so I didn't think she would notice it, but she found it before it got totally dry and pulled it off and wrapped up one of her stuffed animals in it. So it didn't get blocked. It's close, but it's just not quite as set as it should be and open. But it's really quite pretty. She doesn't wear it because, of course, she's 3, and she really wanted me to make it for her, and then now that it's done, she just says, I don't like shawls. I'm not used to them. So I don't know what that means, but anyways, she won't wear it. As usual. She will, however, wear the baby Ramona that I made her, so I'm pretty happy, the little cardigan. And I just blocked that for the first time, and I think it grew a little bit, which is good because I had just finished it, and I had made it like for her size, and she's already starting to outgrow it, and the sleeves were starting to be kind of short. So when I blocked it, I think I was able to stretch it a little bit, and hopefully it'll fit her for a little bit longer. I apologize for this lighting. It's there's not really anywhere to podcast inside where there aren't people right now. So I came outside and it's really bright, but I'm afraid that if I'm in the shade, it'll be really cold and dark. So it is what it is. So yeah, so that's my only finished object, I think. And unless I'm forgetting something, because like I said, I'm weeks overdue. I feel bad. I'm sorry. There hasn't been a reason, like I haven't been sick or anything like last time that I was super late, but just busy. Life stuff. So the next thing that I worked on, I guess I'll start with my works in progress. That's what that is. So this is my pine forest baby blanket, and I did put a few rounds, I don't know how many, into it. So it's grown a little bit, but not a ton. It's still pretty small. It's such a stretchy and lightweight blanket. So I don't really know what it's gonna look like. I'm interested to see what it's like when it's blocked, but it's very lightweight, so it's kind of like a summertime blanket. And my friend that I made this for had her baby like last summer. It's now November. I've just had way too many other interesting projects to work on, so I haven't finished it. and now it's getting to be Christmas knitting time, so I haven't been working on it. I don't know if she knows that I'm making this for her, but by the time I finish it, her kid's gonna be way too old for blankies. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, you guys. I'm a failure. But anyways, it's really soft and it's turning out nice. I just don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I had like a little moment of not really being sure what to knit next, and so I was like, I'm gonna commit to this and really just finish it, and I got maybe a couple inches done, and then I thought of a whole bunch of things that I wanted to cast on, so that didn't really work. But yeah, there it is. It's nice. This yarn is Cloudborne Fibers Superwash Merino and Sport Weight, and the colorway is called Stormy Skies. And I really love this yarn. It's very soft, very nice. So anyways, that's that. I still have the majority of my yarn left to work on it, so I don't know when that's gonna get done. It's an enjoyable thing to knit on. It's just a little bit monotonous. I just have too many other like fun things to do. So that's there. The other thing that I worked on a little bit when I was in that phase of not really being sure what to make next was mittens for myself. I've showed you guys these little mittens. I still have yet to put a second thumb in them and to weave in the ends. It's a little ridiculous. So these are Felicity mittens. I just did from the fingertips up and kind of like a toe-up sock, and just kind of improvised them. And so I need to finish her thumb, which is like, you know, a one sitting kind of a job. And then I'm making a pair to match for myself. And let's see, that's that. So I've gotten that far. It's fingering weight yarn, so it's, you know, a little slow going, but I think this will be really nice this winter if I ever get around to finishing them, because I have like the next 4 weeks of knitting kind of scheduled before Christmas. So yeah, we're having some unseasonably nice weather right now, but that's scheduled to change soon. So this yarn, I think, was a combination of Rambouillet and Merino, and I had bought this at the Fiber Festival. This really nice couple were selling out of all their yarn from their small flock of sheep, and they had really good prices for really nice wool. I mean, this is like, you know, locally sourced wool, which to me, I'm like, that's awesome. I would pay more money for this, but they were really like, I don't know, underselling themselves or something. They had it still on the cone or whatever, so it wasn't like presented super fancy or anything, but yeah, I just think they were selling themselves short, because this is really lovely yarn and very sheepy, and I've really been enjoying knitting with it. So, but I put these away. These have become my car knitting, which, if you know me, I don't spend that much time in town, so my car knitting has become kind of a slow thing. It doesn't get worked on very often, but it's nice to have if you're ever, you know, getting your oil changed or whatever. Oh yes, that's my needles for Felicity's thumb. So yeah, that's that. And I should really get around to finishing those. That reminds me, when I was in the thrift store, actually when I went to the thrift store and bought this funny sweater, which I think is awesome. I was in Prineville, which is the town that we're going to be living near when we move next year, and we had stopped at this thrift store to like stretch our legs because we had been driving all day, and Felicity was really chatty, and there was a bunch of really like nice ladies or whatever working there and shopping there, and Felicity was just talking and talking, and she was like, "Mommy, you need to buy me mittens because you didn't finish my mittens." And I was like, "Yes, I know, I just need to put one more thumb in them." And she said, "That's not good, you're too lazy." I was like, just like embarrassed. I was like, "Felicity, that's not nice. I made you mittens and I just haven't finished one thumb and I'm too lazy." Ugh, anyways, she's funny. So yeah, but I am being kind of lazy. That's like one sitting, like I said, I should just finish that. But it's such a boring and tedious task to put one tiny thumb in tiny mittens. But anyways, so my next work in progress, I'm going way too fast. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about things, I guess. My next work in progress, is a project that I was going to make for myself, and I decided to make it for my mom because she liked the yarn and liked the pattern, and she's very sensitive to scratchy things, like everyone in my life that acts like wool is like horrendous for some reason. So offensive. But anyways, I had this really soft, I think it's called Millamia or something like that. I might be pronouncing that wrong. It's really, really soft, really nice yarn, really squishy. It's merino. I don't recall, it might be superwash, but I'll have to look at the package. I don't recall. And it says that it's fingering weight, but I don't know. Maybe it is. It's just kind of a little springy and plush, and it doesn't feel quite like fingering weight to me, but whatever. So I'm using the fingering weight Celtic Myths shawl pattern for this, and I don't think I had cast this on when I made my last podcast, which is a little ridiculous because it's almost done. So I haven't podcasted in a while. So this is all that's left for me to put the border on, this little, like a little bit more than a quarter of the shawl. And this is my cable needle. I ordered a cable needle and it should be coming in the mail hopefully this week, but I've been using this the whole time and I'm almost done with my project. So here we have it. I was going to make this project for myself and I had bought the yarn and had the pattern picked out, but because my mom liked it and she's not a knitting person, I was like, cool, I'll just make this for you. So this is my first foray into cabling. This isn't showing up super great because it's so bright. And it needs to be blocked because it doesn't, when you let it go, it just kind of crumples. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. So far, I haven't noticed any glaring mistakes in the cable pattern. Yeah, so the first little bit that I did, it took me forever. I was a little bit, it seems silly because I've done lace and stuff and cabling isn't that much different, but my brain just couldn't look at the chart and figure out what it meant, but now I get it and it's going pretty quickly. So I've gotten to the point where I kind of can mostly knit it without the chart and then just kind of reference back to make sure that I'm not doing something stupid every now and then. Yeah, so this has been an enjoyable knit. The body of it was a lot of stockinette, just plain, what do you call that? Plain stockinette, mindless TV knitting, which was nice. My husband and I are watching The New Girl together in the evenings and while we burn our fire and heat up the little house, and that's been nice. So that's what this has all been, is episodes of The New Girl. And I haven't been able to knit during the day too much until like this last week. So it's mostly all just been a couple hours in the evening every night. So that is that. And this is kind of a huge thing, huge project. And I'm getting close to done. So I think that I can finish this in the next few days, and then assuming we don't get too busy, and then I will be able to pack that away for Christmas. And I really want the cables out of it so I can start some other projects for other family members. I guess, yeah, so that's my main work in progress. I've been working pretty monogamously on, and yeah, I'm getting really close to being finished. I'm excited for that. Even though, like I said, it's been fun. It's just I'm ready to do something with some color because that's gray, very gray. And my last work in progress is something that I cast on 2 days ago, I think. Yeah. Yes, I cast it on 2 days ago. I knitted the cuff and then I started the color work yesterday, but didn't get very far. And I am actually using DPNs, which I rarely ever use anymore after learning Magic Loop, but I feel like I am not very good at doing Magic Loop and color work at the same time. That's been kind of hard. So this is going to be my first pair of Selbavater. So this pattern is actually a free pattern for basic Selbu mitten. I will post the image of the title and everything and who wrote it because I can't recall. But yeah, it's just a nice basic Selbu mitten, and this yarn is Bergerie of France or something like that. I don't know. I can't pronounce anything that isn't blah English. And even some of them, I don't know. I knitted my Aim True hat out of this yarn, and it's really good for color work. It's grippy and good stitch definition and bright colors. So I decided that I would do these mittens out of that so that it would be really easy. Did DK weight so that I, well, because that's what this yarn is, but also because I have a few projects that I want to do for Christmas and I want to be able to get them all done, and I figured if I did fingering weight I might not be able to get it all accomplished. So, and these needles are actually Knit Picks multicolor wood needles, and I have not used them like at all since I bought them because they ended up being kind of dull, the points are, and I really like my ChiaoGoo lace needles, but for this weight of yarn, this is the biggest needle size in that set, it's all right, and I really wanted to be able to use the smaller ones, but I haven't because, like I said, the points are really dull. So dull points on really thin needles is obnoxious. So I've kind of thought about maybe sharpening them somehow, like with sandpaper, but I don't know if the finish would be crummy then. I don't know if it's like lacquered or something. So I don't know. But I've only gotten like 4 rows into the color work, so you can't at all tell what it is yet. But my mother-in-law really likes red. It's her favorite, so I decided to make her some red mittens. I did the cuff in the contrasting color instead of the main color because I liked the way that looked. A lot of other people had done that with their pattern, and I liked that. Oh, I have my nice fingernails. I've got such fancy fingernails. So yeah, and I did a moderately sized cuff. I don't like the way it looks when they're super long, but yeah. So yeah, this is fun. It takes, I need to print out the pattern because when I look at it on my phone, it makes it really hard to follow along, and yeah, all that jazz. So I don't know what else to say about these. So I think I'm gonna knit 2 pairs of this pattern. I'm gonna knit this red pair for my mother-in-law, and then the same yarn, different color, I'm going to knit for my sister-in-law Shay, Nicholas's sister, and I have the yarn right here, and let's see, that is this. Oh, and there's the labels in case you're interested. So hopefully that looks all right. She really likes like a teal color, and this isn't really teal. It's not quite as sky blue as it looks in the camera, I don't think, but it's a little bit more tealy in real life, but it's not teal. So hopefully that's still something that she likes. And they're both pretty into hiking and doing outdoor sports, and so hopefully they'll be able to use mittens and we'll enjoy them. So, and these are both non-superwash, so they should like felt a little bit and be pretty comfortable and waterproof, hopefully. Not waterproof, but you know what I mean, and warm. So yeah, that's gonna be another pair of Selbu mittens. And thirdly, I bought another skein of Malabrigo sock yarn. I think it's sock yarn. Yes. So this is just like my Raina shawl skein, except for a different colorway, obviously. This one is called, I don't see it. Oh, August. And I really like this color. It's really pretty. This is for my sister. She's been wanting something knitted, and I think that out of everyone, she's probably the person who will appreciate hand knitted the most. She crochets, but she doesn't find a lot of time to do it because she has a million kids. So yeah, I think she's going to really like having something knitted. And I am thinking of doing this pattern called the Eyelet Bias Scarf for her. I think she would like that pattern. It's simple and it would let the yarn really shine through, and it's like a 1 skein pattern, and it's lacy, but it's not a triangular shawl. I don't know if she would like that for me, I don't know. I don't actually wear this. I'm only wearing it because I was going to show it to you guys, and now my neck's cold. But I don't really like the way this pink looks on me in general. But I also have been taking my Raina shawl and tying it so it's more like a Western scarf, and I just don't think that style would fit my sister's personality. She's kind of like artsy and funky. So anyways, the eyelet bias scarf shawl, I don't know which, I think will be what this is destined for. So I'm looking forward to knitting that, although her pattern, I mean, so that project, I think I'm estimating these will take me about a week, the mittens, and I'm estimating this will take me about 2, maybe a little bit longer because I don't have a ton of knitting time lately, but we'll see. So if I'm correct about my estimations, I should be able to get everything done before Christmas. So that's those things. And then the last yarn that I've bought for Christmas presents is this combo, which I really like. It's not in my wheelhouse of colors that I regularly use, so I'm really looking forward to that. This is supposedly DK, but the hand of it is very similar to my Celtic Myths yarn, so I don't understand how this can be DK and that can be fingering weight. It just doesn't make sense to me. But whatever, it's fine. So I was thinking of knitting my Aim True hat again for my other sister, Charity. But instead of a hat, because she has a teeny tiny head and she lives like 4 hours away, so I can't try things on her. I was thinking I would make the brim of the hat narrower or shorter, and then knit the colorwork pattern, and then not put a top on it and knit the brim again and make it into a cowl. I think that would work out really nicely. When I was knitting my hat, I was kind of tempted to do that. But this yarn is softer, so I think it will make a nicer cowl. I hope it is big enough. The hat that I made, I used, let's see what the yardage is on this. So it's 120 meters. It's not very long. And this is 120 meters also. So I used, I think, less than one skein of the white on so that the contrasting color on my Aim True hat, but I used more than a skein of the blue, but I had, you know, the brim was like that long, and then I also had the crown to do. So I think if I do 2 short brims of blue at the top and the bottom, I think we'll maybe, or not blue, but this, the contrasting, I don't know. Anyways, I think I'll have enough, I hope. If I don't, I suppose I can order another skein of this, but that would be obnoxious because then I'd have to pay shipping for one thing. But I would just have to buy more yarn, I guess. Gone a little bit overboard with the yarn buying lately, because also, in addition to all of this, I found this pattern on Instagram that I really liked. I don't know if it will look good on me at all. It's called the Missoula Made Dress. It's by Notorious, and yeah, it's just like a really cute kind of like going out dress. It's not super casual, and it's so freaking bright. Oh, sorry, I'm squinting at you. Anyways, it's got like a lot of cleavage going on, but you can sew up the front a little bit so that it's a little bit less revealing. But I kind of am like, screw it, whatever, like boobs are not a big deal. I don't know, I'm sorry if you feel differently, but I think it's wrong that men should be able to run around shirtless and somehow women's boobs are inappropriate. Like, that's not fair. But anyways, not to get, like, I'm not trying to be political, I'm just saying, it's just people are people, whatever. I don't know. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is it's kind of a cute, like fancier thing, but not like crazy fancy, like lace or anything. So I'll insert a picture of it. So I was thinking of making that, but when I was looking at it, I was like, that looks like it would be a lot of yarn, and so, you know, probably an expensive project. But when I looked at the Ravelry page, she had used this cotton. Real quick, I would like to mention the dog behind me. She has what is known as a dangle stick, which prevents her from jumping over or digging under fences, because she has this tendency to go over to neighbors' properties and bark at them, or go out in the road where she could be hit by a car. So while we really don't like having a dangle stick on her, at this point it's a necessity, and hopefully when we move to our new farm she will not have to wear one anymore. That comes in a cake, and it's pretty dang cheap. I think altogether, because I will be knitting the smallest size, altogether, when I looked up the yarn, it was on sale. I will be paying like $16 for the yarn. I'm like, what the heck? There's like 4 skeins or something. It's very, very cheap. So yeah, I was surprised by that. Yeah, so like $4 a skein. That doesn't include shipping, but I bought some more things from that website because it was on sale and I can't help myself. So I also purchased, so that was like a cheaper cotton brand, and you know, not like indie or anything, obviously. So it'll be interesting to work with something like that and see if I like it. I think it's called Candy something? No, I don't know. I'll have to tell you when I look at it, or when I get it. So it'll be interesting to try that. It's just something different. And then I bought some cheap wool, and I'm really curious to see what it looks like, because I think it's nice to try out cheaper wools every now and then, and because a lot of people knit with acrylic because they can't afford wool, and I think that it's, you know, I don't want knitting to be exclusive. I want it to be for everyone. I think that the really expensive yarns are amazing and awesome, and there's totally a place for them. And I mean, hopefully the yarn that we produce will be pretty, what is the word for that, luxury or whatever yarn, and be, you know, on the more expensive end. But I think that there should be a place for cheaper yarns so that people who don't have the means can also knit and enjoy the craft, and use a material that is sustainable. Even if it is more mass-produced wool, at least it's not acrylic, and at least it's not going to be polluting the environment. So I mean, that's not to be like judgy or hateful of people who use acrylic, because I used acrylic for years. I just don't like that it doesn't seem to do the work that you put into knitting justice, because it doesn't wear as well as wool, and it doesn't ever break down, and so I just don't like using synthetic fibers. But obviously I still use them all the time, and it's a process. So anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I bought some cheaper yarn, some cheaper wool yarn. I'd like to see how it goes, and I bought a sweater's quantity of yarn for $15 for a small Ramona cardigan, and I wanted to buy something cheaper to make another Ramona to be more like going outside and working sweater. So I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on it to have something that is, you know, really fancy that I don't feel like I can work in. So, and the Ramona that I have now is pretty cheap yarn. I mean, it was on sale. It's not like crappy or anything, but it's got alpaca, and it's single ply, and it's very fuzzy and sheds and snags really easily. So I kind of wanted something a little more durable. So we'll see how that turns out. And I wanted something kind of cheaper but still wool, so that I can make something that's like practical but also beautiful. So we'll see how that turns out. And then I also bought 2 extra skeins of that same yarn but in white, so that I can try my hand at dyeing without the pressure of like it being a really nice base that I need. You know, if I used our own stuff, I feel like if I screw up, I would be really mad at myself, because I feel like our yarn is special to me, so I don't want to mess it up. So I want to practice. And I think that's all on my knitting stuff. I think that's it. So I have like months and months and months of knitting scheduled, pretty much. And then I also have the yarn for my husband's sweater, and it's going to be very cabled to the hilt, so that I feel like is going to take forever. Yeah, I'm calling it his Christmas present, but I know that it's not even going to get started until well after Christmas, so he's just gonna have to be okay with that, I guess. Yeah, so I guess that's everything from the knitting side of things. I still haven't heard from the mill about our yarns, so I think I might give them a call and just make sure that they didn't like lose the wool or something, because that'd be pretty sad. And it just seems a little weird that I haven't heard anything. But yeah, so that's all that. As far as the farm goes, we're pretty much out of grass, so everyone's been brought home, and that's why they're all kind of in these really sparse paddocks, and they're getting fed hay now. For a bit there, we had our sheep in this dry lot pasture, and we were breeding them. Well, the ram was breeding them, and they were going through a ton of hay because they were sharing with the horses. So the horses eat more than their fair share if they get the opportunity, and so I was having to drive to the feed store to pick up hay like twice a week, which is ridiculous. But we fixed our trailer so that the wheel cover isn't rubbing if you weight it down too much. So now I can get 2 big bales at a time, so that's 1,600 pounds of hay. So now I only have to go like once a week or once every week and a half or something like that, maybe 2 weeks if I really stretch it. But now the sheep have a little bit more room. They're not sharing with the horses, so they're not wasting so much. And then down there we have our goats. Most of them are going to be butchered soon. The lambs are going to be processed soon, with soon being within the next few weeks. So we have customers waiting for most of them. And then, I don't see her right now, but there's this black cow over there that belongs to the neighbor, and she's asked us to put her down, and said that we can butcher her and keep the meat. So yeah, that's gonna be another big job. We had already planned to butcher one of our own cows this year, so I don't know what we're gonna do. That seems like a lot. And then we're also processing like 5 or 6 lambs for ourselves, I think, and a whole bunch of goats. So that's a lot of animals. I don't know what we're gonna do with it all. So yeah, that'll be fun. We just started the process of butchering some animals. We've done only 2 lambs so far. And yeah, that went really good. Nicholas set up a whole new system for sorting the animals in a low stress way. So it's like a little pen and then a bud box, which he was really excited about, and I didn't understand the concept. So when he showed it to me, I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. But now that I've seen how it works, it's really smart. You herd like 2 animals into the bud box, which is just a small pen, and then you walk around. Maybe I shouldn't be verbally explaining this. Basically, they go in a door, and then there's a door off to the side, so that when you want them to go down the chute, you herd them into the bud box, and then when they try to go out the way they came, they go in this other door, and before they realize that they're in the chute. So, which is good because it's low stress. You're not having to force anybody anywhere, and you're not scaring the animals. So we moved the sheep home, the lambs home. That was a big day of herding them all into the trailer and picking up, well, and then a few days later I went back and picked up all of the electric netting fence, and yeah, it's been good. Oh, so the thing that I did want to share was that in my last episode I talked about how we were going to get a 5th wheel instead of building a small shack or something on the property, because we have 80 acres in Central Oregon that we just purchased like 2 months ago. So we like made that decision, and I am just like an obsessive person. So as soon as we decided that we were going to go ahead and purchase a 5th wheel, I got like obsessed with finding the one and like doing it. So I was searching for them constantly, and you know, making calls, and there's so many scams, it's ridiculous. If you're ever in the market for a 5th wheel and the people say that it's in an eBay warehouse and you need to send them your payment information, don't. That's so stupid. Anyway, so there was lots of that. Probably half of the trailers that we called about were scams. So that was a little disappointing. But yeah, I went and looked at one in Prineville, which would have been super duper convenient because it's, you know, a half hour from our property, and the people said that they would even haul it to our property, which would be amazing because we don't have a truck with a flatbed, or excuse me, 5th wheel hitch. But when I went and looked at it, I drove the, you know, 3 or some hours out there with the girls. It was just me and them. I looked at the trailer, and it was just like, oh, this is not great. It just was not well taken care of. Kind of everything was in bad shape. But the main concern, because I mean, cosmetic stuff is one thing, you can kind of deal with that, but it had like a huge leak in the kitchen and the bedroom that had like dry rotted the roof out, and I climbed up on the roof and was pressing on the membrane on top, and it was just sinking. I was like, what? This is not a minor. The lady had said on the phone, like, I think you could just paint over the area of the ceiling and it would be fine. But it's like, this is not a minor ceiling issue. This is bad. And the floor in the kitchen was like sinking through. So so that was a little disappointing. And it was a fun day though. Me and the girls had a good day. It was like 6.5 or 7 hours of driving all together. But it was a fun day. We had a good time just hanging out together and traveling. And we spent a little tiny bit of time in Prineville. Like I said, we went to a thrift store there, and I picked up this gem, and I got Felicity a Halloween costume, and holy crap, this is so late. This is making me realize how late this podcast is, because I got her a Halloween costume well before Halloween, and now it's middle of November. Thanksgiving is this week on Thursday. So anyways, yeah, I picked up a whole bunch of stuff there. Not a ton, but you know, like costumes, some gloves, this sweater, a little toy for Felicity to play with on the way home, and a coffee mug for Nicholas. And it was under $3, the whole purchase. I was like, what? This is crazy. It's very different. Like in Portland, that same kind of junky, well, not junky, the Halloween costume was really nice. It was brand new, had lots of different pieces, and it was a pretty complex, nice costume. She was a goldfish. It was like 50 cents. And I'm like, here it would have at least been $7 to $10 at, you know, Goodwill or whatever. So it's just weird being around, like close to Portland. Everything's pretty expensive, and we're just used to that. And then, you know, in a more rural setting, it's, yeah, it's different. And, you know, walking down the street, people are like greeting each other and being nice, and so it's weird. But I mean, awesome weird. So I'm really looking forward to being out there and getting to know people and getting to be a part of the community out there. I think that'll be cool. As long as I am not too much of a hermit, which I am prone to do. So I looked at that trailer. A few days later, I picked my mom up from the airport, and since we were up by Washington anyways, we drove another hour past the airport to go look at another trailer. And that one was another thing where, like, it looks great in the pictures and the person says that it's awesome, but it was twice the cost of the first trailer I looked at. And it was like, yeah, there's some rot in here, and like the floor is sinking in the kitchen, and the pop-out has a leak. So and it has some electrical problems, which, I mean, that's less of an issue, but still, it was kind of like, but the leaking isn't a good thing. So yeah, I decided against that one. And then a few days later, or maybe even a day or two later, Nicholas's dad sent us a link to the auction in Portland, and we went out there and looked at some trailers, and there was several like options that could have worked. One or two of them were really big, which would be nice, but definitely had some leaks and water damage. And one of them was a bit smaller and didn't have any slide outs, and it was older, but it was in really, really good condition. Like whoever had it took really good care of it. So yeah, I mean, at the auction, you know, there's probably something wrong with it that you can't really see. But it didn't seem to have anything wrong with it. So far, we haven't really found anything majorly wrong with it. And yeah, we're really happy with it. Long story short, we bought it. So we went back the next day to bid on it, and paid a little bit more for it than we had hoped to, obviously, but it was not bad. Because it's in really good shape, and I think it will have pretty good resale value if we take good care of it. So I'll insert some pictures of it over here. And it's, yeah, from the 80s, and whoever had it took super good care of it. I think really loved it. The only thing that we did was yesterday we went up there. It's parked at my in-laws because they have a fifth wheel hitch, and the auction was really close to their house. So we just went up there yesterday and power washed the whole roof of it, and resealed all of the joints and stuff in the roof to make sure that it doesn't start leaking on us. So hopefully within the next few weeks we'll be able to haul it out to the farm, and then we could actually go camp in spend a little bit of time out there. So that will be pretty amazing. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I was really hoping to record my next episode in the trailer, but I didn't bring like the majority of my knitting yesterday when we went up there to work on it. So that was like a big brain fart for me. I brought, 2 projects, the 2 that I'm working on, and then realized that I hadn't brought like anything else. So so that's disappointing, but hopefully at some point I'll be able to record a podcast from there because it's pretty rad and awesome. So I'm really happy with it. We've named it Serenity, which is from the show Firefly. If you're not familiar, you should watch it. Here's Brago. Hey, buddy. Come here, buddy. This is one of our livestock protection dogs. He is good at his job. He keeps coyotes away. He's a good boy. Yes, he spent the whole summer with the lambs on the lease property. Ooh, you stink. So anyways, I don't know if I have anything else that needs to be shared other than, yeah, there's not a lot of updates. So anyways, it was really great to talk to you guys again. I'm sorry that this is really stinking late. It is a Sunday. I'm actually recording on a Sunday again, which means that I will try and hold myself to recording next Sunday, and hopefully I don't have any issues getting this uploaded. My last podcast I could not get to upload. It wouldn't save to my phone from my editing software, and I was really frustrated. So it got posted like 2 weeks later than I recorded it. So the time since I posted my last episode isn't that long, but the time since I recorded my last episode is a very long time. So anyways, hopefully I don't have any issues this time, and I will be back at you in 2 weeks. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you could like and subscribe, that would be awesome. And yeah, if you want to comment and just say hey or whatever, that'd be great too. So you can find me on Dandelion Dreams podcast on Instagram. That was backwards. You can find me on Instagram as @Dandelion Dreams podcast. You can find me on Ravelry as Dandelion's Dream, and you can find me on Facebook as Dandelion Dreams Knits. Man, I can't talk anymore. And that reminds me, I am going to be doing a knit along with a friend in Africa. Her name is Iris, and she has the Clogs in Africa podcast. And we're just going to be doing a cardigan cal. So it's going to be a New Year's knit along because I figured that everyone already has Christmas knitting plans, and it's kind of getting close to Christmas time already. So we wanted to let people know about this ahead of time. So the only requirement is that you make and I think it's an adult size cardigan, and maybe 2 children's size cardigans would be equivalent, but yeah, so yeah, any pattern I think is fine. I think I'm gonna do my Ramona cardigan again, like I was talking about earlier, and Iris has a pattern already all picked out. So if you're interested in doing that, I think that she's gonna have some yarns for a prize, and hopefully I'll have some of my own yarn as a prize for that, assuming that the mill gets back to me about it. But if not, I will figure something else out as a prize for the cal. So we need to get a Ravelry group going for that, and then I will let you know where to sign up. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and talk to you later. Bye.